Two deals this week tell you everything about where sports is heading. Fox just bought Roku for $22 billion, defining moment in sports overall. The company that broadcasts the NFL, the World Cup, and MLB just acquired the platform that 100 million households use to watch it. They're not just broadcasting the game anymore, they're buying the actual screen itself, it seems. Meanwhile, Paramount acquired Warner Brothers Discovery for $111 billion. CBS Sports and TNT Sports are merging under one roof. The NBA, March Madness, Champions League, and the NFL all have contracts with one or both of those groups, and every sports rights deal in America just got reshuffled a little bit. But here's what makes this episode a little bit different. While the big money rebuilds the pipes, an NBA star just proved what replaces the old endorsement model, and the biggest sporting event in history can't fill its own stadium. So we have a lot to talk about this week with your hosts, Sean and Liam Clifford. This is Playbooks and Portfolios. Liam, we're back. How's everything going?
Good. All is well. I know we'll get into it a little bit, but it was good to see you at the end of last week. Got down to Cleveland for a little investor event put on by the Ohio Fund. Shout out to the Ohio Fund. It was an awesome event. A lot of fun. And obviously got to spend some time, quick time, but got to spend a night together, which was a good time as always. So all is well. Been busy, a lot of travel, but how about you? How you doing?
Good. And I'm glad you raised that point. We were over at the Ohio Fund for all of our viewers and listeners. Unbelievable experience. Very compelling what they are doing here in Ohio across the board, from private equity to venture to real estate to just opportunistic deal flow across the board, bringing companies to Ohio and making a name for Ohio, a state that we've grown up in, loved living in, and now are in currently. Cannot understate the fact of all the goodness that they're bringing towards Ohio. So it's been really amazing to watch.
They launched 2 years ago, have raised 647 million, maybe more to be announced. I want to say, and then invested in right around 37, I think, portfolio companies. So they're crushing it, building a lot of cool things in Ohio, bringing a lot of cool things to Ohio, and continuing to grow the state that we were born in, which is fun and obviously something we want to support. So we were at that event and then got back and traveled back to just outside of Philadelphia this weekend. So
I went to my first Savannah Bananas game this weekend. Saw my buddy Jackson Olson. He's a Green Bay fan. So back when I got drafted to Green Bay, he had hit me up and we had gone back and forth and just developed a friendship. And then I was driving from this facility on, I want to call it Friday, and just picking up some stuff, off-season vibes, clean out the locker a little bit, making sure I'm all set. And I saw a sea of yellow taking over downtown. I'll tell you what, the Savannah Bananas, they come in hot to a city. They took over Cincinnati, and it was really an amazing sight. All the kids were out there having an absolute blast. Jackson's obviously one of the main guys, and it was really cool to pick his brain, honestly, just on everything that goes on within the event itself. It's a way different game. It's not baseball to the fullest extent. It's got a ton of different rules that you get to learn. And then I got stuck in the bathroom down in the dugout for about 2-3 innings. So that was a bummer. The door locked on me, so I literally couldn't get out. Jackson had looked out for me, but my wife was definitely, she had to bring the police down. It was a whole ordeal.
Did you have connection? Did you have phone connection down there?
I did, barely, thank God, or else I might have been stuck in there till today. They might still be looking for me to this point. But we got out unscathed. So all is good.
What a cool kind of, now wrapping it into why we do the podcast, what a cool business the Savannah Bananas is. I think a lot of people know it by now, but for those that don't, founder, no capital raised, fully bootstrapped, and now is, I think, almost $1 billion, if not $1 billion business, and absolutely crushing it, filling seats in every city they go to, more than the teams that they play in, probably.
Sold out. I had to go on a secondary market to get a ticket itself.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, they were completely sold out from top to bottom. The entire stadium was packed and they were going nuts from the very beginning to the very end. Really cool. And the game was good too. It's cool because they don't score the game by just runs. It's who wins each inning. And that's a point for the team. So it was interesting to learn the rules. Really extremely, for anybody who denies how competitive it is, competitive. They were getting after it. There's some great plays made. They get extra points for trick plays too. So dudes are doing all like these flips and all these different things. So very impressive talent across
nice.
the board. Shout out to
Yeah.
Jack. Appreciate you for having me out.
I forgot too, this weekend too, me and Aaliyah and then mom came in for it, but we went down to York, Pennsylvania with shout out to Inch & Co, the real estate company down there that's absolutely crushing it. But they put on an awesome kind of private part for the investors of some of the real estate projects they're running. They brought in all the investors and did like a little bit of a private thing before the concert. They put on a concert actually at their headquarters, open to the public. I think right around 8,000 people came, and it was awesome. Dustin Lynch, Randy Houser, and then some few up and coming country singers that came, but raised a bunch of money for a cop that had passed away in the area, and doing some unique things around that to help the local community. But like, talk about a event that was put on someone's property, which, mind you, the Johnny, who's the founder, his house is at the same place as their headquarters, and then they have all its band. So they put on the concert, had a huge stage, and it was sick, but it was a good time. And something I hadn't really experienced before. It was fun to do a concert that wasn't at a huge venue like a stadium or something. It was kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, we were investors in one of their state college projects.
Yeah.
Clifford Cove, the street coming at you here probably in 2027. I'm assuming eventually it would be put up, but yeah, really cool opportunity there. Speaking of unique opportunities, Fox acquires Roku for $22 billion. They acquired Roku for $160 at $22 billion enterprise value, cash, and a stock deal. Creates the third largest player in U.S. TV by share of viewing. It combines the NFL, MLB, World Cup rights, Tubi, Roku's connected TV platform of 100 plus households, 13 billion hours streamed. And Roku is in more than half of all U.S. broadband households, which is unbelievable. The founder of Roku, Anthony Wood, will join Fox's board. And the irony here is Fox sold its 6 million Roku shares at $58 in 2020 to help finance Tubi's acquisition. And now they're buying the entire company at $160 a share. So really cool to watch how it'll continue to grow. You're obviously starting to realize that it's just not about the broadcasting itself. It's about the hardware. It's about owning the entire ecosystem. We've talked about it for a while now. But Liam, when it comes to how to utilize this type of acquisition moving forward, when it comes to what Fox can do in the future, where do you think this heads?
Yeah, this is a cool one. And I think for me, right away, I go to the fact that nowadays all you hear about is technology. Technology this, technology that, AI this, AI that. This is one of the first things that we've seen in a little while, or at least that we've talked about on this podcast, that it's more of a hardware play. And they're going out and acquiring Roku, not for really the software. They already have most of that and kind of the streaming platforms, but they want to truly grab the audience and the viewers from the hardware piece, where everybody knows now, if you have a TV, it's typically a Roku TV or some sort of smart TV, but majority of them are Roku. And it was funny, Sean, when we were just in the hotel in Cleveland staying for the Ohio Fun event, we were at that, it was a loft Marriott, and they had one of the old TVs where it was the on-demand movies where you got to go through and pay $20 for a movie. And we were sitting there and we were like, how is this still a thing? We thought we found a gem that we were actually they still had those. It was unbelievable. We
couldn't find a movie though. Could not find
an hour trying to find a movie and then ended up going to sleep. But that just reminded me of the fact that, again, it's cool to see a group like this kind of make a hardware play beyond just the software, the AI, what you typically see nowadays, them going back and saying, no, we want to own everything that's one of the main pillars that sits in everybody's family room. We want to own that. And that way we can push a bunch of different things. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of ad space opportunities specifically with the Roku TVs beyond before you get into the streaming platform. I'm sure they'll have ad space all over kind of the Roku home screen, and that's just
well, I think that's a great point, and that's where it'll go. It'll be, how can you utilize this hardware now, this actual TV? How can you integrate a bunch of clever tech within each of these the new TVs that you roll, and then also with software updates, how can you push out a really cool product around what Fox can do? I'm sure that they'll amplify what they're doing on the TV. It'll probably be right in front of everybody's eyes who owns a Roku. And more than anything, I think that the game is to get eyeballs on the screen as much as possible. How can they be innovative and kind of switch things up? And especially when you're talking about negotiation of TV rights and TV media deals, this will play right into it. It's a vertical integration right into what they're doing on a a daily basis. So I think it's just very strategic. It's a different acquisition than we've seen out of most, but I do think that there's going to be benefits to a bunch of the infrastructure that's obviously put together here, whether that be the performance data, the screen engagement data, the tech, the advertising tech data. And then I think there's probably a huge play that I don't even know about of how they can run it, but a fan analytics opportunity as well, because I'm sure that they could feed all that data directly to the parent company with Fox. So will be really interesting to continue to watch. In a different light, the DOJ approved the Paramount Skydance acquisition. Paramount now acquiring Warner Brothers for a monumental $111 billion of enterprise value, including a debt instrument as well. This now creates Paramount Plus, plus HBO, plus CBS, plus TNT Sports, plus Warner Brothers, which now all those studios are under one roof. Paramount already announced plans to merge CBS Sports and TNT Sports post-close, which will be monumental. But 24 billion of equity commitments from Saudi, Qatar, UAE sovereign wealth funds. That's through the Ellison family and Redbird Capital. And then $54 billion in debt from JP Morgan, a Citigroup, Apollo, and Redbird Capital is a huge key backer. The same firm that we just talked on the last episode, that did the Big 12's first conference private equity deal and a major shareholder in the new Paramount deal here. So it will be very interesting. Netflix obviously lost the bidding war. We talked about that, I feel like, a few months ago when they offered $82 billion. They dropped out in February. This was kind of controversial in a couple different ways just because it's such a monstrosity of a deal, but it went through. DOJ did approve it, so they'll be rolling this out throughout 2027 to finalize it. Probably will be done at the end of the year. But Liam, what's your thoughts? Again, another huge acquisition, and you're starting to see this theme over and over again. How do you contemplate and how do you see everything moving in the private equity space moving after this?
Yeah, well, I think a big part of this, I'm sure not the entire part, but a big part of this is the rights play, where they're now having TNT, where TNT had the NBA rights for 40 plus years, which ends this season. CBS has the NFL. They had March Madness. They have PGA Tour. So when you combine all that kind of now they can really truly compete and potentially take over when you go to talk about, and I know we talked about it a few episodes ago, but kind of negotiating the rights to all these different kind of sports opportunities and sports teams and leagues and groups. So now when you do an acquisition like this, you come in with a lot of firepower to be able to kind of take potentially some rights away from ESPN and Fox and beat them to the punch when it comes to negotiating the next round and kind of the rights deals going forward. So I think if I had to guess, that's probably a big part of the reason they did this. Now I'm sure there's more to it. They also have CNN under their umbrella, which goes to the news, and who knows what they have planned there. So a lot of opportunity through this acquisition, a huge acquisition sitting at $111 billion in enterprise value. So overall, we'll see how it plays out. But I do think when looking at it from a high level, especially specifically in our realm, when you talk about sports, I think the sports rights media deals plays a big part in this.
I'm in full agreement. I think that the story here is not even about the headline of the deal, Paramount or Warner Brothers. I think it's behind the hood here. Redbird Capital is heavily involved as one of the primary drivers and financial backers of the deal, led by the founder. It's Gary Cardinal. I believe Redbird Capital is playing a huge central role in both the financing part of it and also the future governance, which will be really interesting to watch. Obviously, they're aligned alongside of the Ellison family, Larry and David Ellison. Redbird Capital is fully backstopping $47 billion in equity required to fund the 110.9, so $111 billion acquisition. This is becoming really interesting to watch primarily a sports firm building so much infrastructure. You talk about the Big 12 private equity deal that they did. Now you talk about professional sports distribution, CBS, TNT. Now you talk about entertainment content being with Paramount Studios. I mean, they are vertically integrating their entire stack. And not to mention, you connect it to the Silver Lake play that we talked about not too long ago. You have the Raiders, Flag Football, UFC, Bay Collective. There's these firms that are competing at a high level from top to bottom at control of sports ecosystems. And Redbird is definitely doing that at a very high level. I think that that'll be a common theme. And to be honest with you, it'll be really interesting to see these sports companies eventually like very, very widely cast their net, because I'm assuming Redbird, this is just the beginning of a full-fledged infrastructure and where they go from there. I mean, it really, there's so many lanes. Sports gives you so many different platforms, and this is just yet another very unique opportunity to capitalize on a huge market. So Redbird with a huge winner in this play, and we'll continue to see how it lies. Any last thoughts, Liam? Or
No, I guess one last thought, and I just find it interesting how they went head to head with Netflix, a group that's absolutely crushing it, been up and coming now for the last few years and been doing really well. We've spoken about them a lot on this podcast, but when it comes kind of toe to toe with a group like Paramount acquiring another huge group like Warner Bros, and then obviously with the backing from even bigger private equity groups like Redbird, sometimes it's hard to beat. And I think that's kind of what we saw happen here. And it would be interesting. It would be to see what Netflix would have done with this acquisition as well. But we won't live to see that, at least in the near future. So who knows? Maybe down the road, but definitely an interesting and monumental acquisition, to say the least.
No doubt, no doubt. And now moving to the athlete side of things, Jason Tatum made new headlines here as the quote, "The old athlete endorsement model is dead." Very interesting. Inc. magazine ran this headline 3 days ago, but Tatum is the living proof of what this ownership stack for athletes are now looking at. I mean, this is just the public sources of what Jason Tatum's got going on. Men's care brand Tatum co-created. He didn't endorse, but he co-created a men's care brand launched exclusively at Target nationally, which is unbelievable. And then WNBA St. Louis bid. He's now part of an ownership group bidding on a WNBA franchise. Expansion's fees are now at $250 million, and Tatum's NBA CBA actually allows players to hold up to 4% in the WNBA teams, which is honestly a really cool play for an NBA player to make. But past that, his endorsement portfolio is already big. Jordan Brand, Gatorade, Subway, Apple, SoFi. He has a documentary being released, The Quiet Work, a 5-part docuseries on his Achilles rehab, a content brand play there. And then he also has a $315 million deal from the Celtics. I mean, the largest in NBA history when he signed it. So he's leveling up every single time. Who did we just talk about not too long ago in the same right? It was Steph Curry and what he's doing, and kind of the conflict that he had when he went global. Right. He's doing the same thing, endorser to investor to operator to then kind of this platform builder, and this platform builder being on the equity side and starting with the WNBA, which is right in his lane. Like, this is a place where we talk about Tom Brady and the Raiders, and I think we had the same discussion of, would you want to have Tom Brady on your cap stack when it comes to ownership? And I said absolutely, because it's somebody who understands how to win, who's been there before, and understands what the players want. And I think this is another great example. Jason Tatum, kudos to you for putting together such a great portfolio, having the foresight of doing so, but then taking it to the WNBA side. I think that this is a play that we've talked about numerous times. Jason Wright, we've talked about with one of the largest women's sports fund in the history, going toward $1 billion target, the first $1 billion women's fund ever. So much in front of Jason Tatum and what he's doing in the future. Really excited to see where he goes. Liam, what's your take as a whole on his portfolio and where he's going?
Yeah, I think overall, the thing that sticks out to me, a lot of really cool things that he's doing. Let's obviously not downplay that. But I think I always love when athletes, celebrities, people of influence create a brand outside of themselves that has nothing to do. When you look at it, you don't even know it's theirs. And that's this company that he co-founded, which is Onside. And Onside is a men's care company. They sell, I want to say, shampoo and body wash and deodorant and things like that. And you go on Onside's website, sure, it says it somewhere in there that co-founded by Jason Tatum, but nowhere on the branding is his name, is his picture. Now he'll be doing ads and he'll be pushing it. But I always do love that. There's always, like, Logan Paul with Prime did the same thing. Happy Dad with Kyle and the Nelk Boys and that crew did something similar. And even you see the Kardashians do that all the time too. And it always has success. And I think there's something that people love about getting behind a vision that a person of influence can help grow with the brand they've already created, but not attach their name to it and not make it about themselves, but do it for bigger purpose. And I think that's pretty cool. And more people are coming around to that. And obviously more athletes are. And it is interesting. We saw Steph Curry do something similar in the last few weeks. And now with Jason Tatum being a big part of the podcast this week and everything he has going on. And then I'll hit it too, but the WNBA bid, it's a no-brainer getting involved with an up-and-coming league, and then obviously getting a stake in it and helping to be able to grow adjacent to your sports and being able to kind of grow alongside one of the fastest growing leagues out there right now is a no-brainer on his side. And I'm sure he's going to get involved in a bunch of different ways. And then lastly, being named the chief basketball officer at Duke is so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you see Andrew Luck did something similar with Stanford, and he works on the staff now.
Well, he's the GM for
he's done playing,
team.
so he's even more hands-on. But then like Tom Brady being involved with the Raiders, and you see it more and more where guys want to stay around the sport in any way, shape, or form, and it's obviously makes sense to do it at your alma mater or a team you played for. And it'll be kind of an interesting case study to see how much value he can bring to the Duke Blue Devils this season, and see if he has any kind of insight in things that they do differently for them, what they've done from the past. So kudos to Jason Tatum on his portfolio.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, it's really, there's an old model and there's a new model. The old model was get famous, get paid, right? Very simple. Now this new model is get famous and build something, which is proving to create new products. It is proving to compete at the highest level in every single walk of life, not just on the court or on the field, but off the field as well. And it's also now, I think it'll challenge a lot of the entrepreneurs out there when you have somebody like Jason Tatum, when you have somebody like Steph Curry, and they're coming into the market and they're trying to reinvent the wheel a little bit. They have a lot of experience, and a lot of these athletes do have experience, so it'll be exciting to see what new products can be rolled out from there. Segment 4 here, FIFA, really, I mean, let me precursor. Really cool. The World Cup has been amazing, but they do have a dirty little secret that they're not really telling as much, but Front Office Sports does report it pretty exclusively here. Everyone sees the record TV ratings and assumes the World Cup is a smash hit. I definitely did. Behind the scenes, FIFA is struggling to fill seats, and sponsors are a little unhappy. And this is kind of the contrarian story that makes the audience definitely sit on the edge of their seats, that's for sure. But this is interesting to look at the entirety of the data. Getting price for the USA Paraguay game on FIFA's own site was $1,100. Secondary market was $1,200. Front Office Sports observed 5 separate matches on FIFA's resale site with the identical get-in price, which is not, it does not bode well. Whenever the secondary markets are not going as high as the original ticket, definitely signals something in the market. Several games had entire rows listed for sale on the resale platform. One had the same pair of seats in 9 consecutive rows. FIFA has been giving away thousands of tickets through state governments and corporate sponsors to avoid these empty seats, but sponsors are definitely not happy. One source said, quote, they don't want their product associated with half-empty stadiums. Liam, I mean, you see all these headlines, you watch the games, they're amazing. It's great to see these athletes out there, and it's been very competitive soccer games, to say the least. But this is worrisome. Like, how do you fix this in short time? What's the crisis management? How do you is it just the first round and hoping that now once you get into the actual tournament itself, it changes? What's the thought?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, for example, me and my girlfriend wanted to see if we could get to a game, maybe one in Philly, and I go on for 2 tickets and it's like $2,800 for 2 seats in the nosebleeds. Mm-hmm. Like instantly I'm like, no, or I'm not doing that. I could watch it on TV. So I think that's I'd assume, I want to say the easy answer why they're struggling is the pricing. Like the price point is just kind of out of this world. Now it is the FIFA World Cup. Is it deserved? Probably. But you bring something like the World Cup that's so popular in the entire world, and then you bring it to the States where it's maybe not as popular or mainstream compared to where it is normally in some of the other countries they host it in. And also to put on top of that, there's other things going on. The US Open was this weekend. Like, there's other sporting events that people are going to. So I think maybe it's a huge fish now in a huge pond, and it's struggling to be able to kind of gain all the attention it's typically gained when it was in Brazil or some of these other countries where there's not all these other kind of. To your point, it also could be it is the first round. I want to see this progress. Even like I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a huge FIFA soccer guy. Like the group play is a little bit confusing. People might be a little turned off to watching it just because they don't fully know how everything works, because I know it is a little different compared to what we're used to a typical tournament style. So maybe as we get through group play and kind of get into the more nitty gritty of the tournament, we'll see the viewership in person kind of go up. I would like to hope, but I think the easy answer of why they're struggling is it's just priced very high. And there's still other things happening that people want to go to in the States compared to where FIFA's typically been hosted in some of the other countries where there's not the US Open or there's not basketball or NBA games happening in the NBA Finals. So we shall see to see if what pivots they make, if any, but would love the prices to drop even for myself. Maybe I can get to a game then. I just don't want to pay $3,000 for a ticket to go to the World Cup, but maybe that's what other people are thinking too.
No doubt, no doubt. But jumping into the last here, just some quick hits. I mean, NBA draft is tomorrow as we record this on this Monday. So tomorrow, June 23rd and 24th here. Next generation of athletes entering the NBA. One thing I do want to say, so Jeremiah Love was quoted as saying pretty much, yeah, it's great to get drafted. He was third overall in the NFL draft, but NIL has surely put him in a good light already. How do you I mean, this is another generation of athletes coming into the professional leagues, but now they have a lot of capital behind it. How are you thinking about it, Liam? If you're one of these guys sitting in those seats getting drafted, you've already put a couple million in the bank. Well, how do you think about your financial portfolio as you jump into the league?
NBA is interesting too because I know college basketball guys are getting paid crazy money. I mean, it's a smaller team, so obviously they got more money to go around for the top players, and the top players are going to be the ones getting drafted tomorrow. So obviously those guys already have some cash in the bank, and I would like to think they've given it some thought. My take is I just hope, as the common theme of everything that we do every single day is I hope these guys have the right team surrounded around them away from the court, people that are going to be in their corner, a financial advisor, a tax advisor, somebody that's able to just advise them away from the money side and just to make decisions about certain things, whether they want to get involved in different groups, because a lot of people are about to now come attack them with all these different opportunities and deals and different things they want to get them involved in. So the biggest thing is I hope they have a team surrounded around them. I do think we're deep enough into NIL where most guys in this situation do, but sometimes you never know, and you don't know what people's situations are. So we will see. I do think majority of these guys probably have already put a lot of the money in NIL away or are living off of that money. And then, like Jeremiah Love said, his contract and signing bonus he just made from the NFL, that went all away. He's not even looking at that because he doesn't need to because of NIL. So it's nice that that's given guys the opportunity to be in that position. But I just hope they're surrounded around the right people and have the right teams to help support them throughout the process.
Yeah, and I think it's just if I were them, I'd be setting up just like I'd be looking at the big guys. I'd be looking at LeBron and Jason Tatum and Steph Curry. And I mean, you're an opportunity to build early. Do so. Build on the equity side. You have already amounted enough cash to be good for a long, long time. So be able to now set yourself up for the long haul and find different ways to be innovative and really stand for what you believe in and invest in what you believe in. Now, the Knicks set an all-time Fanatics merchandise record across all sports, not just basketball. I mean, makes sense. 15 billion social media views. The business of a championship is definitely measurable. I'm excited to continue to watch how that transpires, but congratulations to the Knicks. And then lastly, MSU signed the first Big Ten jersey patch sponsorship deal, which is honestly, it's low-hanging fruit as newsworthy, but it definitely does show where this is going. I mean, this will be monetized just like professional sports here very soon. So you'll start to see ads pop up left and right with a bunch of different companies and a bunch of different groups in the college sports realm. So
you're going
to look forward.
You're going to see that more and more. I even remember last season there was a timeout break and I was looking around the stadium and I noticed way more ads in the stadium compared to the year before when I was playing. And that's due to the fact that now they're able to make so much money off of it, monetize off of it. And I even had some conversations with people back at Penn State talking about like, there probably will be a day, and it'll probably be pretty soon, where on the jerseys, it's not just Penn State's logo or the Nike logo. There's probably some local food chains or restaurants or in this case, I think it's Federal Credit Union. Yeah, Federal Credit Union, maybe some banks will get some ad spots on the jerseys. It'll be really interesting to see it play out, but college sports will look way different. And as in Michigan State's case, we're going to start seeing that this year.
Yep. And you know that's where it's going, but it's going to be exciting to continue to follow. But I mean, as we talked about, $133 billion in media infrastructure deals in a single week. Fox literally bought the screen and Paramount bought the studio. So you're seeing sports change in your right in front of your eyes. Meanwhile, obviously, Jason Tatum proved the old endorsement model is completely dead. And We're going to continue to watch that transpire. Biggest sporting event in history can't fill its own stadiums. There's a lot to look at when it comes to outside of the kind of the big two, big three sports. But as always, please like, subscribe, follow Playbooks and Portfolios. We will continue to give you all the newest in-depth research and analysis on the sports business world. But from playing the game to owning a piece of it, this is Sean and Liam Clifford with Playbooks and Portfolios signing off. We will see you next week.